so many of you were early, so you're pressuring me to start early. So welcome everybody. We're starting 1 minute early, but for those just joining in, no problem. Just first, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here, everybody. We're excited to tell you a little bit more about NextGen. Few small housekeeping things. All of the showcases today will be recorded. So those who are unable to attend live will be able to watch the recordings later. So just know that we are being recorded. It's happening right now. And that the content will be used in various purposes later on. Also, exciting housekeeping news is that there will be a $50 Amex card given away at each session. And we have a fun way to find the winner of our $50 Amex card. So Jason's going to go through that in a little bit, but I wanted to tease that out. And then the last piece of housekeeping is if everyone would do me a super solid. If you are not one of our lovely presenters today, please turn your camera off just for a little bit and mute yourself so that we can make sure that we don't get any background and that we can stay focused on our presenters during this time. So with that, guys, I'm going to start with just a little background on NextGen before we get into our powerhouse panel. So our mission, and Jason, if you guys heard him earlier today with Tanya, is our mission is simple. We are really looking to develop the next generation of leaders. And to do that, we do a few more things. And we really want to make sure everyone knows that we are committed to offering a supportive environment. We want people to feel comfortable, professionals of all levels, all ages, to grow, develop themselves, and be successful. I'll give a little personal story. I joined NextGen because at my prior organization, I lacked a sense of community. I lacked a place that I felt that I could grow and access others in the organization to help me learn to be a leader. So when I came here and I saw that NextGen was a group to be a part of, I said, I think this is a place to be. And a couple years later, I was chairing the organization and happy to do so with the legacy of other amazing NextGen chairs as well. So we're just committed to really being super inclusive. We want to also be cheerleaders and advocates for other ERGs. We partner with our other ERG communities to lift them up on the things that they're passionate about so we can create connected and shared experiences. And to be honest too, one of the things that I love most about NextGen is we just have fun. It's a great group of high performing people that want to have fun together. So on our next slide, maybe, I'm going to introduce Jason Groendyk. You guys heard a little bit from earlier. He is going to lead us in a panel today, and I will let him take over from here. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Nicole, thanks for putting us all together and also the team members that have put together behind the scenes. We're excited to join together today, just talk and so on. So we have some awesome ladies here that have joined us, awesome employees. I would say road warriors, if you will. They've kind of created a path for themselves in their own vertical of the company. So we'll be introducing them. And we have some questions we're going to go over. So to start us off, Donna Basilavecchio is joining us from VP of Customer Experience with Realogy. We also have Iris Kaifa, Agent Recruiting and Retention for Realogy. Awesome to have her as well. And then Lindsay Listanski, who's the VP and National Public Relations and Communications for Coldwell Banker. So thank you everyone for being here. Really, really appreciate it. From here, we're going to just do a quick intro, and with that intro, I want to hear just a little about who you are and your career. And we're also going to ask you guys to share 2 truths and a lie in that intro. So Donna, if you will, start us off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jason. Hi, everybody. My name is Donna Basilavecchio. As Jason mentioned, I am currently the VP of Customer Experience working in the IT team. My career at Realogy spans a little bit of time. I started at Realogy in 1993 as an accounts payable coordinator. And I had chosen a career path that was diverse within the organization. So instead of, say, bopping around to different organizations to try to learn where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, I kind of did that within Realogy. So I started and spent my first 5 years in accounting. And then the next 20 some years of my career, I've kind of split between working in brand and Century 21 for 7 years. And then I spent a good portion of my career as well as current in shared service roles in the IT organization, but kind of with a slant on the operations side of IT. The other note, I guess, of my career, I have a undergrad in accounting. I have a master's degree in MIS and management, both of which I completed at night through Realogy education reimbursement policy. Yep, exactly, Lindsay.
Awesome.
I was very happy not to finish both undergrad and grad degrees without any loans. And I moved to California in 2018 as a relo with the organization as well. I'm on the West Coast and beautiful weather out here. Two truths and a lie. I know I wrote them down for you guys. I'm going to try to remember. I will go with, I was involved in a national telethon. I am the youngest of 6 children, and I have shown my dogs. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big dog fan. I have shown at Westminster in New York City.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hopefully everyone's paying attention to the 2 truths and a lie, as long as the career piece here. That's going to be important, as we do have a gift to give away that is based around that as well. Iris, you're up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Iris Kaifa. I've been with Realogy for June will make 10 years. So I started off as an intern with ERA's training department. I was also finishing my bachelor's. I was in the beginning stages of my master's. While I was interning, I was offered an opportunity to be an administrative assistant for both the learning and marketing teams. Once there, I actually realized I learned that Realogy did have the tuition reimbursement program, so I was able to go back and finish my master's in business thanks to Realogy while I worked here at the same time. So same as Donna, it was hard, it was night and weekends, but we made it work. I moved on to become an operations specialist, also with ERA, so I spent my first 5 years there. I then moved on to become an operations specialist and then teams lead in our Center of Excellence for Learning. I was there for about 2 years, and then I moved on to become manager of recruiting and retention, now under the product and innovation team. So it's been quite a whirlwind. And like Donna already said, there are so many opportunities within Realogy as a whole, within the brand, to learn and reach and stretch into different platforms and departments throughout. So it's been a wonderful life here, and I expect to be here, a while longer, because doors continue to open. My 2 truths and a lie, I did write them down. So 1 is I had a pet squirrel in college. 2, in high school, I saved a friend from drowning. And 3, I was a child model. So which one?
I feel like all of them could be very true, so I don't know if I'll be able to pick the right one there. So, Iris, thank you so much. Lindsay, sure. You're up.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. I am Lindsay Listanski. I'm the Vice President of National Public Relations and Communications for Coldwell Banker. I am also going on my 10th year at the company. I was born into Coldwell Banker. I have a mom who is an agent with Coldwell Banker, a dad who's a branch vice president. So I am real estate from day one, and I am Coldwell Banker's day one. I started at the company as the social media manager, moved up to manage all of our national advertising. I had a brief hiatus from Coldwell Banker while I was working on Climb for a bit, and then I just came back to my recent position early last year. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful 10 years. I can't say enough nice stories about Coldwell Banker and Realogy and the people that I work with. It's just been a beautiful decade, and I'm loving every second of it. My 2 truths and a lie are: my family was in a Coldwell Banker television commercial. I walked the Oscars as a Oscars red carpet as a work assignment. And my 3rd one is I had to turn down a job offer when I found out I was pregnant with twins.
No, it's for both of you.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for introductions and your 2 truths and a lie. Everyone hopefully is thinking about those so they can win the gift that we have to offer. As we move here, we're going to have 3 questions we'll run through. And so we'll do a little bit of up the river, down the river, so everyone gets a chance to answer them. So Lindsay, we'll start with you since you spoke last with kind of our first question. Just talk to us, what are some strategies that you put into effect that you think helped own your career, and why?
So one of the biggest strategies that I had was really finding a good balance between yes and no, and that took me a little bit. So in the beginning, when I started, I said yes to literally everything, which opened a lot of great doors for me. That was a yes to things like Tanya calling me saying, hey, can you found this new ERG, NextGen? It didn't even have a name at that point, actually. She said, we're looking to develop 8 ERGs. We have an idea for one of these. We want you to, to be the founder. That was one of the best yeses I said of my career, really, because it allowed me to get leadership experience at a very young point in my career. I met people across all different brands, and it really allowed me to open new doors that I didn't even realize kind of were there for me. And then I continue to get tapped for assignments like that. So there was a point in my career where I was on, I felt like probably every Realogy committee that there was. And luckily I had a really good manager that said, it's great that you're being tapped for all these things, but you really need to start to prioritize which of these will have the biggest impact for where you want to go in your career. So I think one of the best things that I've done over the years is really figuring out where is my highest and best value, and also where can I introduce some of my colleagues and say, hey, there's a group of people that are equally as talented, if not more. These are other really talented people that you can look to, for additional support on some of these things. So that's been a great guiding principle. I also think really making sure that I'm always networking outside of just my brand. I think one of the absolute best advantages that every single person has at this company is the fact that we're not just stuck in our individual brands and working on our individual assignments, whether it's looking to your counterparts in other brands for best practices and ideas sharing and collaborating, or for networking. But I think one of the things that I realized really early on was it was an advantage to know other people at every aspect of the company. And that's been a huge, I think, benefit for why I'm in the position that I am today.
That's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And obviously leading the way for NextGen, which is part of the reason we're here today too. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Iris, what about for you? What do you think some strategies, helped you kind of set up to where you are now?
Sure. Lindsay touched on some fantastic points. For me, it's looking for opportunities. So it's researching what's going on outside of just Realogy, maybe in the department or the industry that I'm interested in, looking for technologies that are being used or other applications to what we currently have and how they're being utilized, maybe even outside of real estate in general, and bringing those ideas and conversations back to my team. With that, we've been able to find some wonderful vendors and opportunities or uses of existing platforms that have really helped some of the departments that I've worked with. Also, in terms of relationship management, Lindsay hit the nail on the head. It's having those connections outside of just your team members. It's working with the ERGs, such as NextGen or ACE or Real Pride. It's going to outside industry events and taking people's phone numbers and keeping in touch with them on LinkedIn or just through text message. And also, I like to volunteer for projects that may not be within my current skill set or scope, but it helps to stretch me in a different direction. So I find out what I do like and what I am good at and opportunities for growth there.
No, it's awesome. And obviously starting to see a little bit of a connection there, right? Taking on things maybe outside the scope of your job. That can be overwhelming. I've done it. I'm currently doing some of that. But it's also expanding your skill set that you might not have in your current job, right? So you're giving yourself the opportunity. So love to hear the connection and consistency there. Donna, from your perspective, what were some strategies that have been, effective in your career?
You kind of set me up well there, Jason, as well as the other ladies. It's literally number one on my list is stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone. If I think back to when I started my career, or even in grade school, in high school, I was 100% sure that my career was going to be in accounting. And if you think about the stereotypical accountant, you're sitting at a desk, you're networking with the people who you work with. You're not doing things like presenting at brand events in front of hundreds of people. That all by itself, presenting, was an absolute phobia of mine. And I learned early in my career, I was told by a president of the brand that, when I was asking for growth and how I could grow outside of finance, now that I've kind of taken this new career path, presenting is one of the things that came up. And I really, really had to work past the fear to get myself to a position where I kind of enjoy it now. It's not that big of a deal, but it wasn't easy to get there. I remember sitting in a car in Florida in 100-degree weather with little index cards trying to get through that part of my phobia, but I got where I needed to be. I also will echo some of the other comments, which is get involved, work with other people. A lot of the relationships and networking that I have been able to do, whether it be through Six Sigma, which Realogy had before, helping with book clubs, doing mentorships, things like that, that maybe I didn't necessarily feel that I had the time for, being driven obviously by your career, make the time for those opportunities. Because I remember through the years, those individuals that I made relationships with back then, we were all managers or coordinators, and we all grew up in the organization together. And that kind of helped us to have those relationships to help you form your career, and within Realogy, especially as you kind of grow with those individuals side by side.
No, that's awesome, Donna. And obviously stretching yourself, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but as you get more used to it, it becomes more comfortable, right? So it is a process, but some takeaways here, right? Take on other opportunities, know what's relevant in the industry that is outside of our company and take it back, and get involved and stretch yourself, right? So awesome, topics there and strategies. I love hearing all that. Donna, we'll stay with you. Go ahead. Yeah, Lindsay, go for it.
I was going to say, like, we're all fresh off of RTM timing, right? And we're all thinking about what we did really well, what we can do better. I remember, one of the greatest things I heard one of our leaders say at a town hall once was right after reviews and saying, everybody wants to exceeds expectations. And really, by going out of your comfort zone, you're either going to be presented with an opportunity to exceed expectations beyond your job, or you can make that path for yourself. And I think when you look for these opportunities to join the special committees, to be part of an ERG as a core member or a leader, these are the ways that you're really going to prove that you're exceeding and going above and beyond. So just by being here today, by listening in on things like this, it's a really good opportunity, at your mid-year and end of year to say, hey, here are the additional things that I really I was either asked to do it and I fulfilled it, or I created this path. And that's even better, right? When you can identify that path, that opportunity for yourself.
Absolutely, right? So the other strategy here is take feedback and implement it in those three categories that have already been said, right? In ways that you can do more outside your job or grow in an area that's not comfortable. And then also in the industry, right? Hey, what are some things in the industry I should be more knowledgeable about that would make this feedback more relevant or change to exceed, right? In some of these areas. So awesome topics. Donna, to stay with you, and Lindsay, thanks for jumping in on that. What do you think is a lesson you've taken from your career that's been really the biggest one that stands out?
Yeah, I think for me, if I'm asked what's my biggest success factor in my career, I would not go to education. I would not go to some of that formal stuff. I would go to building relationships. And I think that goes formal and informal. Making sure that, like Lindsay, you said it too. I mean, a lot of the relationships and a lot of the structure you have within your department is easy to build. It's outside of your department, and trying to work with others and learn about others personally and professionally really helped me in my career within the organization. And just as a couple of triggers for folks, like when you're working from home now, it's a little harder to do that. I used to, when I went to the West Coast and came to the East Coast, I would always find a few people that I hadn't seen in a while and just try to have coffee with them in the morning. Now that I'm working from home, I try to once or twice a month pick a couple of people that I'm not interacting with as often as I did before and just spend 15 to 30 minutes catching up with them on stuff, nothing related to work, just to kind of keep those relationships strong. And just, really because I care how people are doing. And I think if you're sincere about it, it's not just punch a checklist item, that you really sincerely care and you want to get together with somebody. That makes all the difference in the world. And then the last, I'll just add one more if I may. Make sure, in my opinion, having an equal commitment to everything that you do. I think we often have so many responsibilities, some trivial, some that are really important. You never know what that responsibility is that will be seen as, by others as an opportunity that you might be seen, as a good fit for another role. So, make sure that you're balancing everything that you do and kind of, going at them with the same vigor that you would go after something that's very highly visible in front of a leader, because you never know. You never know what's going to be that trigger you're going to look back on and say, wow, I'm glad I actually took that opportunity. I didn't think it was going to be anything when I did it. And now here I am all these years later saying that was a very important moment in my career.
Absolutely. And Donna, right, you're talking about collaboration and then value of a person. I think giving value of who people are implements easier collaboration. So love that answer. Iris, what's kind of your thoughts around that category?
I totally agree with Donna, and I'm going to go another direction, just so we're not overlapping. But I would say constantly learning, taking on new skills, new trainings, new opportunities. For myself, I know that project management is extremely important. I also know that we are moving to become a more technology-centered business. So on my own, with my manager's approval, I went and got agile training so that I understand how the system works, what the future is going to look like. If I need to be on a team, if there's an opportunity to learn there, I understand the terminology, why things are happening, and I can insert myself into that instance to be helpful and to become part of that team if necessary. The other one is there's so many opportunities for learning on the LinkedIn learning platform that we have because we are part of Realogy. So I'm taking a product operations, course outline so I could learn more about what happens in products. It's kind of a department that I recently came into. I don't have a lot of background knowledge, but there's a lot to learn. There are many job requirements that I'm not familiar with, but I would like to so I can expand in that role. There's also many certifications that are available outside of just LinkedIn Learning. There's a diversity, equity, and inclusion certification that I'm taking part in. It's on Saturdays. It's for the next 3 months, and it's nationally recognized. It's not something that Realogy has to pay for. I'm spending my own time outside of work, but I know it'll make me a more robust, employee and team member. So constantly looking for other sources of ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the lesson here is if you don't have a skill or you're not learning a skill kind of in your current job, but hey, I have an interest long-term in this industry or this vertical, what do you have at your fingertips to learn that skill? Even if it's unfortunately outside the job time, right? And so that's the growth model too. And you guys have already talked about that a little bit, right? Taking on other responsibilities. Okay, this is helping me get to that place I want to be. I might not implement it yet, but if I give myself the resource and the tools and the knowledge, when it comes time to then speak on it or be a part of a team in a collaborative way, I have a baseline that I can start building on to get to that next role, whatever it might be. So love that.
Exactly.
Love that. Thank you, Iris. And Lindsay, what about for you?
I'm going to try to answer one of the questions I saw in the chat with this question. So I think for me, like a guiding principle has always been get really comfortable with being uncomfortable. So someone had asked in the chat, how do you know when it's time to kind of make a change, you're ready for something next? So, every 2 to 3 years, I start to get a little edgy and I'm like, all right, I need something new. And I go through this kind of phase of feeling like I'm ready to jump and then questioning if I'm actually ready to jump. Something comes up where I'm like, well, that's totally not what I had in mind for my next step. I don't know anything about that. That makes me really uncomfortable. And every time I've taken that jump, because I have a lot of faith in our leadership, and I think that's a really big key too, right? Being really a good partner with your HR partner so that they know what you have in mind for yourself, so that they know that you're always open to opportunity, whether it's within the brand that you're in or anywhere in Realogy. That's number one. Making it really clear that you're happy, but you're ready to grow. But that feeling of being uncomfortable and being open to really any opportunity that's given to you, and trusting in those around you who have been around maybe longer than you, that they have your kind of best intentions and they have a plan for you, and trusting that plan is huge. So I remember once I was ready to make the jump from being the senior manager of national advertising, they said, it's time to leave Coldwell Banker. We have an opportunity to launch a franchise. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to leave Coldwell Banker. And John Payton was like, no, I think this is really good for you. You're gonna let you learn about launching a franchise. You're gonna head national marketing. And I remember sitting in David Marine's office, like, this isn't what I wanted. I just spent 7 years making these great relationships with people within the brand, out in the network, traveling across the country, and I put all this work in and I feel like it's for nothing. I'm going to have to start over. And I remember getting a little emotional, but I did it because I trusted in John Payton. I trusted in Ryan Gorman. I trusted in David Marine. I did it. That project ended up getting back burnered. I grew a lot in 10 months. I did one other quick kind of tour of duty where I worked on the Real Show program. And then I came back to Coldwell Banker. And I never knew that it was going to be this revolving door where I left. I came back much, much stronger. I had learned about things that I hadn't had the opportunity to do at Coldwell Banker. I was learning about, trademarking and more about PR. I was learning about launching a franchise and what an FDD was, which I had never even heard the term of. So I think getting really comfortable with trusting others around you to have your best interest, trusting in yourself that you can do it, if someone else thinks you can do it, have enough confidence in yourself that you can. And you're going to surprise yourself at how quickly you pick things up, and you'll be really proud to see all the people around you who are willing to support you. So it was the best thing I ever did. I felt really silly when I came back to David and was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have cried in your office. That was embarrassing and for nothing. But it was well worth it. It was a really good example of trusting in yourself, but also knowing that if you want upwards growth, Realogy playing field is unlimited. You know, there is always a home for you to grow in this brand if you're, you know, a high performer that's really open to change.
No, it's awesome. And Lindsay, I appreciate you giving that answer too, because it kind of answers my last question for you. So we might skip over to that side. The last question was, what advice would you give someone who's looking for the next step in career? And you've kind of jumped into that. Make connections with your HR business partner. Maybe give trust to people that are, you know, telling you, hey, we see you in this, even if it's maybe not what you see as a growth model too. So I think those are awesome answers. We do have a 5-minute mark left here, so I want to have us to answer this last question. So Iris, I'll jump to you, and then after Donna speaks, Nicole can kind of close us out with our gift and so on as well. So Iris, some advice for the next step in their career from your perspective.
Yeah, and this is advice that I'm giving that I recently received, but it's been working in my best interest, and it's about finding your focus, right? Lindsay said, you know, she said yes to a lot of things, and she had to try to dial down to figure out what she actually wanted to do. And that's the stage where I am now. And my boss, Jonathan Reese, has been really excellent in coaching me to figure out, you have all of these skills, you're a jack of all trades, but what do you actually want for yourself? And then what are the steps that you need to take in order to get there? And so creating my own trajectory, I think, is the best advice that I have received. So I'm going to give that too. Map out what you would like to be 5 years from now, and then backtrack from there. Have those very open and honest conversations with your team members and with your managers, so that they can help guide you. If they hear of opportunities because they're in a different position from you, they can help say, hey, I think Iris would be wonderful for this, or she mentioned she was interested in this, right? Nicole Castillo does the same thing. She's absolutely wonderful. Hey, Iris, I heard about X, Y, and Z. Do you think you want to give it a try? And so if you're open about being ready to take on something else, and you are very clear about where that needs to be, there's a wealth of opportunities and wonderful, you know, people in this company who are going to help get you there.
Absolutely. And I think that ties into what you've already said as well, right? So you're kind of building on that advice of, if you know you want to get to a place, start building out those skills. So if you don't know, maybe take the advice of people you trust, right, Lindsay? And that leads side by side. If you don't know, ask. If you are sure, ask, right? So awesome answers. Donna, what about for you to close us out here?
Yeah, I'll try to go quick. I know we're running short on time, but I'll tell you that what my feedback is very, very similar to Iris and Lindsay's, in the regard that I have jumped around in my career with opportunities and been lucky enough to have those opportunities. And sometimes I've been scratching my head thinking, why would you think of me for this role? Is this really where I want to go with my career? So, and all those opportunities were great. And I think my feedback would be, don't lose sight of who you are and understanding what you are. Because if you bounce around a lot, which is great, you can start to have a bit of an identity crisis. You know, am I an IT person? Am I an ops person? Am I an education person? And I recently, just like Iris, found a course actually on LinkedIn about what is my personal brand. And it's kind of forced me to go through, who am I? How do other people view me? How do I want people to view me? And it started to create a picture of who I was. And that's helped me to be able to say my elevator pitch of who are you and what do you do, which could really have been a half-hour pitch these days, that I can really kind of succinctly narrow that down to skill set specific to who I am and what I do, no matter what the role I am in. So make sure you know who you are. That'll help you to know which opportunities are best for you.
Absolutely. Donna, thank you so much. Right. Hold on to who you are is a huge thing. These awesome women, obviously, we're constrained to 30 minutes. That's never a fun thing, but that's what we're working with. And because of that, Iris, Donna, and Lindsay have all told me that they are okay and more than happy to connect with you after this. If there's something you resonated with what they said and you want to talk with them, ask them for a virtual coffee and ask for more career advice, please do so. Nicole, take us from here.
Awesome. Well, ladies, before we close out, I'd like each of you to tell your lie. So Iris, what was your lie?
I was not a child model. I wish.
Such a shame. Could have been, should have been. Donna, what was your lie?
I'm going to reverse it, guys. I did not have my truths and lies in front of me. I'll tell you what my two truths were. I can't remember what I said for my lie. My truths were I did show at Madison Square Garden, and I did participate in a national telethon for Alex's Lemonade on Philadelphia TV.
So you're not the youngest of 3 kids.
I am not the youngest of 6, I think. I am actually the youngest of 2.
Ah, there you go. And Lindsay, your lie.
I have good news for all the working moms in the building. I did not have to give up a job offer because I was pregnant with twins. Realogy is very supportive of working moms, and I still got the position I'm in despite the fact that I was pregnant with twins. And I think that is so awesome that we support women in the workplace. So I love that that's not a lie.
Awesome. Me too. Ladies, Jason, thank you so much for being here, and everyone who joined in today. This was really great. We're going to have to go back through all of you who participated in the trivia to figure out who the winner is. So stay tuned. We will inform you if you won the $50 Amex. Thanks for joining in. There's a one-pager in the chat for you to download and understand where and how to connect with NextGen. And we hope to see you back at one of our next events. We do this every Wednesday, every third Wednesday, 3 to 4. So you can join in on our monthly meetings, and you can contact me to be added to any of our distributions. And we have a Teams channel, Yammer. Get involved. We want to see you back. And we have another session at 3. It'll be very similar to this, but you'll probably get a few extra nuggets out of that as well. Thank you all again, and have a great afternoon, and enjoy the rest of your day of understanding. Thank you. Bye.